You ever notice that, right before you finally start to feel whole, before you start becoming who you were always meant to be, everything around you feels like it's falling apart? Your relationships shift. You start questioning everything you thought was true. The roles you've been playing no longer fit. You're not broken. You're breaking free. That's not the time to panic. That's the time to recognize you're shedding the false self, and the authentic you is finally ready to emerge. When the true self is ready to surface, life doesn't get easier. It gets louder. The false self fights to survive. The world resists your change. But Winnicott was clear. The authentic self cannot thrive in inauthentic conditions. It must be discovered, protected, and lived. If you've been feeling lost, disconnected, like something's off, pay attention. Because when your real identity is ready to break through, you'll see these 7 signs. Sign 1. Everything that once felt comfortable now feels fake. You used to wake up and go through the motions like it was second nature. You knew what to say, how to act, who to be. And for a long time, it worked. You fit in. You got the approval. You played your role flawlessly. But now, that same routine feels empty. The conversations sound scripted. The laughter feels like it belongs to someone else. It's like you're watching your life on a stage, and the actor playing you is starting to crack. The places that once felt like home now feel like a set. The people who once felt close now feel miles away. And the version of you that once brought safety now brings suffocation. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're not being dramatic. You're waking up to something Winnicott spent his life trying to explain. See, he believed that many people walk around performing a life rather than living one. Not out of manipulation, but out of survival. From a young age, we learn what gets us love, what keeps us safe, what earns approval. So we adapt. We become agreeable when we're angry. We smile when we're scared. We achieve, 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 so no one sees how empty we feel inside. This is the false self, a brilliant, painful mask we build to be accepted. But the problem? The longer we wear it, the more we forget there's someone underneath. Until one day, just like this one, you feel it start to crack. The office that once made you proud now feels sterile. The relationship that once felt secure now feels like performance. The role, friend, partner, worker, achiever, feels like acting. And it's terrifying. Because the false self was your protection. It kept you safe. It got you here. But now it's trying to keep you from growing. Winnicott said that the true self can only emerge in an environment where it's safe to be spontaneous, real, vulnerable. So when that true self starts knocking, everything false starts to crumble. You might think, what's wrong with me? I used to love this life. But the truth is, you never loved it. You learned to tolerate it. You learned to love the applause more than your own voice. You learned to love being needed more than being known. But now, the mask is slipping. And the performance is exhausting. So if you're feeling like everything that once made sense now feels hollow, that's not failure. That's awakening. It's your soul whispering, there's more to you than this. It's your identity saying, you've outgrown the act. And sure, it would be easier to go back, to fake the smile, to nod along, to keep everyone comfortable, even if it kills your spirit. But deep down, you already know. You can't unknow what you've seen. The act worked until it didn't. The applause felt good until it didn't. The mask protected you until it started to choke you. Now, the discomfort you feel, That's the true self calling you home. And I won't lie, answering that call means shaking things up. It means losing people who only loved your mask. It means disappointing expectations you never agreed to. It means saying no to what's fine so you can say yes to what's true. But it also means peace, freedom, alignment, and the quiet, powerful feeling of living a life that finally fits. So if everything that once felt comfortable now feels fake, you're not falling apart. You're shedding what was never real. You're not failing. You're finally becoming you. Sign 2. You're feeling emotionally exhausted, even when nothing's wrong. Living as someone you're not drains you. Smiling when you're sad. Saying yes when you mean no. Showing up how people want you to, not how you really are. It's not that you're broken. You're just tired of pretending. The false self was meant to protect you, especially in childhood when being real felt risky. But Winnicott knew it was only supposed to be temporary. The longer you wear the mask, the heavier it gets. That weight you feel? It's the cost of emotional dishonesty. But the exhaustion isn't the end. It's the beginning of awakening. Sign 3. You're losing people, and you're not sure why friends who always liked you? Now, they're distant. Family who used to feel close? Now, there's tension. The roles you played? They're being rejected. But hear me? Not everyone is meant to walk with the real you. Winnicott taught that many people only relate to your adapted self, not your authentic one. When you stop performing and start being, people who depended on your mask will disappear. And while that may hurt, it's not punishment, it's protection, because the true self only grows in real connection. And anyone who can't love you without the mask was never loving you in the first place. Sign 4. You feel an inner discomfort that won't go away. Even when nothing's wrong, something doesn't feel right. You can't explain it. You just know this isn't it. That unease isn't anxiety. It's your inner self knocking, saying, "Stop abandoning me." Winnicott believed that when we live too long through the false self, the true self doesn't vanish, but it waits, quietly, restlessly, until we're finally safe enough to listen. If you're waking up in the night with a heaviness you can't name, don't ignore it. If you're starting to question everything, don't resist it. That's not a breakdown. That's a breakthrough. Sign 5. You start receiving unusual inner confirmations. It might not be dreams or visions, but you'll feel it. That journal entry that hits too deep. That quote that haunts you. That random podcast that seems to read your thoughts. These are not coincidences. These are echoes of your true self. And once you start listening, you'll hear the same message in 1,000 different ways. You were never meant to live behind a mask. Winnicott said that only when we are deeply seen by ourselves and others can we be real. And the moment you start recognizing these signs is the moment your real self is stepping forward. Sign 6. Your faith, or belief in yourself, is being tested. Here's the paradox. The more real you become, the more you doubt. Who am I without these roles? What if they don't accept the real me? What if I'm not enough? These are the fears of a self that's been buried, and they're valid. But this is also the exact place where courage begins. Winnicott said the true self needs a holding environment, a space where it's safe enough to emerge. And sometimes you must become that space for yourself. You have to be the one to say, "I'll protect the real me, even if no one else does." This isn't the end of your faith. It's the test that proves you're ready to live it. Sign 7. Opportunities start appearing that align with who you really are. You've spent years walking down paths that never quite felt like yours. pursuing goals because they were expected, saying yes to things that made others proud, but left your spirit silent. You worked hard, showed up, smiled through it, and yet, deep inside, something always felt off. Then one day, something shifts. Out of nowhere, a new door opens. A conversation lights a fire in you. An idea drops into your mind that feels too real to ignore. And suddenly, the world feels like it's making room for the version of you that was buried all along. This is no coincidence. This is alignment. See, when you start shedding the false self, when you stop performing and start living as your authentic identity, life responds. Not always immediately, but always inevitably. Because, as Winnicott taught, the true self holds your real desires, your unique essence, your truest voice. And when that self begins to lead, your choices shift, your energy changes, your boundaries strengthen, and the universe, not magically, but honestly, begins to reflect the real you back to you. People start coming into your life who feel right, not because they like your performance, but because they recognize your presence. Jobs or creative opportunities start appearing that feel natural, purposeful, even if they're risky. You stop chasing what looks good and start choosing what feels real. These aren't just lucky breaks. They're echoes of your becoming. But here's the catch. These new opportunities won't always come gift-wrapped in comfort. Sometimes they require a leap of faith. Sometimes they look small on the outside, but huge on the inside. Sometimes they scare you because they're not safe. They're sacred. You'll be asked to leave the familiar, to risk being seen, to trust that your true self is enough to carry you through a new chapter. And that's the test. Because when you've spent years molding yourself to fit in, the idea of finally belonging to yourself will feel foreign. You might second-guess. You might feel undeserving. You might think, why now? Why me? But listen, these new opportunities are not random. They are confirmation. Confirmation that you're aligned. Confirmation that your healing is working. Confirmation that your becoming is right on time. So when that door cracks open, when that aligned chance arrives, don't shrink. Don't hide. Don't run back to the false self just because it's familiar. Walk through it, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, even if your old self screams at you to stop. Because on the other side of that choice is the life you were always meant to live. You're not becoming someone new. You're finally returning to who you are. Let this journey be your reminder. You're not late. You're not lost. You're not broken. You are emerging, piece by piece, layer by layer, sign by sign. The discomfort you feel? That's the death of the mask. The confusion? That's what happens when the soul starts leading after being silenced for so long. The resistance? That's the cost of authenticity in a world built on performance. But stay the course. Honor the signs. Trust your timing. Because when you begin living from your true self, everything that's meant for you finally has a chance to find you. If this message spoke to you, if it reminded you that you're not alone in this transformation, like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and becoming. And in the comments, share this. I'm ready to live from my true self. Because you are. And your real life starts now.